All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, June 9th, 2025. This is the Hat and Beard Show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Guys, this morning, right off the rip, we have breaking news. First thing this morning, Packers, divisional rival of the Detroit Lions, and their, I believe, two-time Pro Bowler, former first-round pick, Jaire Alexander, in his 7th year out of, where the hell did he play from? I don't really care. But he's no longer with the Packers. The Green Bay Packers releasing cornerback Jaire Alexander after 7 seasons. That will be our lead story of the day, coming at you from our national news perspective. And then, boys, we're going to be taking a little local look here at our Detroit Lions. AtoZ Sports has a fun article here for us. 4 winners and 5 losers from Detroit Lions OTAs, or as we call it around here, pajama practices. Who grew and who didn't practice at all? We followed some of these storylines last season as OTAs were unfolding. So some of these shall be no surprise to any of you guys. The lead guy right there, our boy Jamo. You guys know I wasn't necessarily the hypest on Jamo heading into the draft process. I was kind of willing to part ways with him, but boy, I tell you what I've seen out of Jameson Williams in pajama practices, my guy is playing on a whole nother level this year. So we shall discuss. We're then going to walk on over to DetroitLions.com. Lions beat writer, many years here. Our guy, Tim 20 Man, has 5 takeaways from Lions OTAs, pajama practices, things we can look at, defensive, who's ahead, offense or defense, competitions in the interior line, some things that we can pull away from OTAs while we continue to get prepped and excited for the start of training camp. And then our preseason kickoff, July 31st, for your Hall of Fame game. Lions will get our first, we'll get the first look at the Lions before anybody else this year. And then, time permitting, if you guys didn't know already, I'm a big UFL fan. I really like spring ball. It's fun. I regularly call it methadone for football. And if you didn't know, the Birmingham Stallions have been just an absolute powerhouse, dare I say a dynasty of the Spring League, winning USFL championships, UFL championships. They are a three-peat championship contender, and this Sunday was the conference championships for the the UFL Spring League. You had your XFL division and you had your USFL division, and the Michigan Panthers finally unseated the Birmingham Stallions. Mike Nolan finally beating the longtime nemesis of his there in Birmingham. Lou Holtz, I can't remember which one, but finally getting that monkey off his back, led by Bryce Perkins. And now the Michigan Panthers, will have a shot this upcoming weekend in St. Louis to win the UFL championship and be anointed kings of spring. But that's all if we have time. Now, before we get into it, guys, we do have a poll up here for you. With the news coming out of Jaire Alexander being released by the Green Bay Packers, should the Detroit Lions troll Green Bay and sign Jaire Alexander? There are no wrong options here. Yes, you got to pay the troll toll if you want to get this boy's soul. No, we have more pressing needs. Sheila is a low-key fox, and, well, if you're feeling like it, just go ahead and tell me how strange I am. Right now, it's you got to pay the troll toll, yes, with 50% of the vote. Then we got a 25-25 split between no, we have more pressing needs, and Sheila is a low-key fox. So we're going to go ahead and leave that up there. Down in the chat, good morning, Brent DeWitt. Morning, everyone. Great game yesterday by the Panthers. Perkins for Lions QB3. Hey, I'd almost take Perkins over Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen for QB2 at this point. Perkins got a little bit of a pep in his step, a little bit more excitement with his wheels, and the Panthers, that defense looked absolutely solid. Brent DeWitt, so good morning to you. Sam Armstrong, morning, my friend. Top of the morning, y'all. Let's add another stud on D. Why not? Hey, and with the Jaire thing, it's like, you bring him in and you're not expecting him to be your CB1. You're expecting him to be a rotationary guy. But it comes down to money, and it comes down to bodies on roster. I watched the Tigers and Panthers win. Good day in sports. It was a good day for Detroit sports. I actually won just over $100 on the Panthers game. So I really clean up well gambling in spring football. It's not a lot that goes into it. You know who's good and who's bad, and you place your bets accordingly. So, before we dive completely into the show, fellas, as you see, we're over here reading the chat, and I'm thinking, you're probably like, dang, man, hat and beard. When can I catch the live show and be a part of this rowdy bunch of guys down here in the chat? Well, it's pretty simple. You can subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and then you can ring that notification bell so that you will be notified every time we go live, currently Monday through Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here at youtube.com/The Hat and Beard Show, with plans to expand. And I will be announcing here pretty soon here when we are going to be going 5 days a week during the regular season to give you breaking news every single day of the week. Get a full dose of Hat and Beard Monday through Friday. Just really tip the scales in our favor. If you're rooting around in the bathtub under the video, subscribe into the channels and turning that notification bell on. While you're over there, if you would kindly just go ahead and assault the like button for me. Go ahead and hit it with that 2-piece and a biscuit. You know what I'm saying? Just go ahead and it costs you nothing. And then lastly, the biggest thing you can do for me, for all of us really here down in the Hat and Beard Show, because it is a community and I rely heavily on you guys for content, for information, and for good takes. Some of you guys have opened my eyes to a lot of different things, and honestly, you guys have your finger on the pulse more so than I do. That's just being honest. So what you can do to help us grow here is roll on over to that share button. Go ahead and click that share button. Now, I understand in today's well-cultivated and manicured social media profile age, being affiliated or admitting that you like a guy such as the Hat and Beard Show, probably not something you really want to be boasting to the world. I completely understand. I don't want to be affiliated with myself either. But what you can do, since over 68% of you watch this on mobile, what you can do is you can go ahead and click that like button and copy that link down in your clipboard. Go ahead and do that 2-3 times. It costs you nothing. And as far as the algorithm knows, it feels like you're sharing it out to the rest of the world. And it tells the algorithm to, hey, let's keep this train rolling. We have had really good success the past couple weeks. Better success than I thought we were going to have. So just keep that rolling right along, guys. I genuinely appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you. Now, let's get into the news.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Nice, Brent DeWitt. I was rocking out after the Panthers game. I was rocking out to John Mellencamp's When Jesus Left Birmingham. Yeah, dude. And it was a good game, dude. I was kind of surprised that they pulled Jamar Smith as early as they did, and they ran with Matt Corral, and I started to feel like there were shades of last year's conference championship game happening again. And then, golly jeepers, fellas, Kai Nakua just slammed the door directly in Birmingham's face with that pick six. And then, yeah, Toa Taua, he is just I tried to explain to Hat and Boobs that watching Toa Taua run is like watching Maurice Jones-Drew run. It's like watching a bowling ball with legs just plow into the defense. It's awesome. You guys know me. I like that hard, gritty, stick your nose in the pile, get them tough yardage type plays. So, fellas, we're going to roll on over here to, excuse me. We're going to roll on over here to NFL.com. And to be honest, I originally was going to talk about a former teammate of Jaire Alexander's, and that would be Aaron Diddly-Doo Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, as if we were all in absolute shock that was the route the Steelers ended up going. We're all, oh my goodness gracious. So the Steelers get to deal with that circus. But instead, when I looked up NFL news, 30 minutes before I started researching stories for today, Packers released cornerback Jaire Alexander after 7 seasons. And that is a good thing when you have a high-octane, high-producing offense like the Detroit Lions, who Jared Goff's now easily going to throw for 5,000 yards. Jaire Alexander's no longer in the division. The Jaire Alexander saga in Green Bay is at an end. The Packers are releasing the cornerback on Monday. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported, per sources informed of the situation. The decision comes months after uncertainty surrounding the 2-time Pro Bowler. Earlier this offseason, it seemed... what What the fuck is that? What is Fati Accompli? Fate Accompli? Fiat Accompli? Fight Accompli? I don't know. That the Packers would move on whether through a trade or release. After no trade partner materialized during the 2025 NFL Draft, the sides sought a resolution. The Packers reportedly offered a pay reduction for the former first-round pick to remain in Green Bay. Ultimately, Alexander declined the restructured deal. Now, he'll be a free agent. The timing of the release coincides with the Packers opening mandatory minicamp on Tuesday. And there are some names out there on the cornerback market. So a team that might be, if you're shopping around for a corner, yep, some of them come with some stipulations, some worry, some health concerns like Jaire Alexander, or some performance-based issues, not really living up to his ceiling, Asante Samuel Jr., There are guys out there, though, and some of them are going to get picked up here in the next few weeks. Talent isn't concerning with the 28-year-old corner. When healthy, the 2018 first-round pick is one of the stickiest cover men in the NFL. That ability led the Packers inking Alexander to a 4-year, $84 million contract in 2022. The issue is health. Availability is the best ability. AR plus Tomlin, two polar opposite. Yes, dude. Brent DeWitt. Do diddly do Rodgers plus Mike Tomlin are two polar opposites. It's going to be an interesting season in Steelerland for sure. What you'll see in Steelerland, Brent DeWitt, is who wears the pants. Because the Rooney family ain't going to fuck around with Aaron Rodgers and his drama bullshit. At least that's what we would expect. And Mike Tomlin is he's a fixture in Pittsburgh. He ain't going nowhere. All right? So when Aaron Rodgers starts to pull his Aaron Rodgers shit, how far is he going to get with that before the Steelers just say, you know what, dude? To hell with you. We're going to roll with Mason Rudolph. You know what I'm saying? Art Vanderlei says, good morning, Art Vanderlei. How you doing this morning, buddy? Maybe Aaron can tell the Steelers to pick Jaire so he can cost another franchise $250 million with his ridiculous suggestions. Oh, that's what I was literally like, all right, we'll start the clock. When's Alan Lazard going to sign in Pittsburgh? Because you nailed it, dude. You nailed it, Art. Aaron Rodgers is diva. He's going to start making demands, and that's what I'm saying. We'll see how the Steelers do. Over the past 2 years, Alexander has played in just 14 regular season games due to a litany of injuries, including to his pecker, back, shoulder, and knee. He missed the Packers' final 8 games in 2024, including the playoff loss. Given his skills, Alexander is sure to find another club willing to give him a shot. However, given the recent injury history, it's going to be well south of the $16.15 million in base salary he was sent to earn from Green Bay this season. Boy, I wish I had just a base salary of fucking $16 million. The Packers anticipated the 2025 season sans Alexander, so the move does little to change the on-field situation. The Packers will move forward with Keason Nixon, free agent additions Nate Hobbs, Carrington Valentine, Kalen King, and 7th-rounder Micah Robinson atop their cornerback depth chart. So that bodes well for the Detroit Lions. One less, and I will be real, when Jaire Alexander's healthy, he is one of the best corners in the league. So this is just one less thing we got to deal with. One less guy that Jameson Williams has to run past. One less guy that Amon-Ra has to dance around. One less guy for Jahmyr Gibbs to run away from. One less roadblock in our way to a 17-0 regular season. Undefeated regular season. Sweep the playoffs, obviously. And when we square off with the Bills in the Super Bowl this year and beat them 59-0, it's one less obstacle in the Detroit Lions way. So it's a little bit around the national, a little bit of news popping. Obviously, as we get closer into the regular season, this will become a larger segment of the show, but we are still going to be focusing on the Detroit Lions. So that being said, let's walk on over here to AtoZ Sports. Man, I really like these guys. The more and more I do this, the more and more I like to read these AtoZ Sports guys. Now, they're not the most poignant our news outlet there, but sometimes they have a good couple articles that we like to read. I'd hit the old oil can there, fellas. So before we get into this article, if you haven't already, would you kindly subscribe to the channel if you're new here, ring that notification bell so that you can be a part of the live show every Monday through Wednesday and take part in the poll. We have, should Detroit troll Green Bay and sign Jaire Alexander? Right now with 6 votes, 50% of you say yes, you gotta pay the troll toll. So I think we're starting to feel that a lot of us need to go ahead and troll the Green Bay Packers, sans Jay Willie a couple years back, right? Kind of. Look, Brad Holmes likes to do this. Sign players away from divisional rivals. Jay Willie, David Montgomery. Why not just go ahead and troll the Pack? Bring Jaire in on a nice 1-year cushy deal. You know, maybe it gives you a little bit of flexibility. You know, maybe he tunes it up to be a very specific role player, i.e., Amik Robertson. You know, look, I like Amik Robertson, but there's one thing that he's on this roster to do, and that's to shut down JJ, right? And if you can bring in a veteran who knows the divisional opponents, who maybe will be playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder against a divisional opponent twice a year, including on Thanksgiving, you know, maybe that's the little bit of oomph we need, a little bit of push to get us through to that 17-0 season that I'm calling for. But right now, half of you are saying that, yes, we've got to pay the troll toll. Only 17% of you think that Sheila's a low-key fox. Well, you know, Sheila's a low-key fox, just my opinion. Good morning, Chase. How you doing? Made it, but I'll be at work. Hey, man, no, dude, you get your money. You get your money, dude. I know that with your big raise that you got, bud, or your big promotion, your responsibilities at the workplace are gonna shoot through the roof, dude. So, brother, I just appreciate you tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Brent DeWitt, how much does JA want? Well, I don't know, but I would assume that it's going to be, let's see, he was due $16.15 million. I'm going to say he's going to want somewhere in the $8 to $10 million base salary for a 1-year deal. More so a prove-year deal, maybe. Yeah, I'd say somewhere 8 to 10 million with a 1 or 2. You know, 8 mil with a 2 mil signing bonus. You know, he's probably, and I mean, depending on the organization, people pay for it. People pay a $10 million salary for a 1-year flyer on a Jaire Alexander. You know, nothing saying that he's going to be what he once was, but he could be what he once was if he stays healthy. All right, so over here at AtoZ Sports, we got 4 winners and 5 losers from Detroit Lions pajama practices. Who grew and who didn't practice at all. As you guys know, our OTAs wrapped up last week. Personally, I really liked what I seen coming out of camp of Jamo. And I know, Mr. Detroit City, you're going to hate this dude, but, man. Jamo, he's running with a... There's just a tenacity in his steps. When he puts his foot in the ground, and there's an anger to him now when he's playing, and I really like it. I also think he's matured quite a bit. You know what I mean? Terrian put some bulk on. Hopefully, has a better season. Sam Armstrong, hell yeah, Sam Armstrong. Actually, what I'm kind of noticing is a lot of our guys like Jamo, Terrian, they put a little bit of mass on themselves, and you know, Terrian Arnold's problem wasn't really his size or health. I mean, he played the whole season. Early on, his problem was getting too sticky and too handsy with defenders. That was corrected after the bye week. What I would like to see Terrian Arnold do is I need a couple 3-5 takeaways this year. I need to see you breaking, not just covering your man and making awesome breakups. I need you to start taking the ball away. I need turnovers, brother. I need takeaways from Terrian Arnold. Excuse me. Allergies, guys. Pajama practices are over for the Detroit Lions, and they will not be joining a lot of league in having a mandatory minicamp this week. They'll instead start their time off so they can start training camp early in July, since they play in the Hall of Fame game, July 31st. With that in mind, it's time to look back on who stood out for good reason and who stood out for bad reasons during pajama practices. It's important to note that the Lions are not in pads out there. That's right. That's why we call them pajama practices. And these aren't really live reps. They're practices in your pajamas. So don't get too excited or too worried. Don't put too much weight behind what we're seeing in pajama practices. You know, like I believe it was Brent DeWitt said, oh no, so-and-so didn't throw one pass well in pajama practices. I think it was last week. He must be a bust. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So let's go ahead and take a look at who AtoZ Sports says are the winners. And these two names right here should become no surprise to you. Enos Rakestraw, after a rough rookie season, Rakestraw has shown up to work with a resolve and is looking to make his mark in the secondary. It won't be easy, but Lions head coach Dan Campbell named Rakestraw as one of his 6 players who have stood out the most. And not just Dan Campbell, but other teammates. Amik Robertson heaped a tremendous amount of praise on Enos Rakestraw Jr. He's really taken at least in pajama practices and on the eye check or the eye test, he's really taken a nice step forward from where he was during rookie camps. You can't, Sam Armstrong. You don't like JMO celebrations, though. I understand. The only reason that I like it when he does his Marshawn Lynch jump into the end zone is because I liked Marshawn Lynch. That I liked Beast Mode. I didn't like the person, but I liked the player. But personally, I'm 37. I was raised on Barry Sanders' touchdown celebrations. You walk over, you give the ball to the referee, and you go to the sideline. Pretend like you've been there before. You know what I'm saying? Other big winners, Jameson Williams. Big spread. We talked an awful lot about JMO. Everyone has been talking about Williams and how he's been showing growth and how the Lions haven't seen the tip of the iceberg of what he can do just yet. He's even put on some more muscle this summer. It could be a huge year for him, and I'm calling for 1,600 yards. Winner Avonte Maddox free agent acquisition. Campbell mentioned Maddox looking good at safety, and along with DJ Reed, he said they are both fitting right in. He's got the third safety spot locked down at this point. So that is kind of the question that we had. What would happen to the Ife Melifonwu role, our rotationary safety, that third safety, who in Detroit's secondary is a very viable spot. You're a 6th man in the secondary, more or less. And we brought in Avonte Maddox, fresh off a Super Bowl victory with the Philadelphia Eagles. And let's not forget that early on in his career, Avonte Maddox almost exclusively played the slot corner position and was one of the more heavily targeted slot corners, at least in daily fantasy sports, because he was giving up a lot of catches. Avonte Maddox has slowly kind of transitioned into more of a corner/safety hybrid all-around player, and the Lions are pushing him towards and putting him in that role of that third safety rotationary spot behind the top 2 safeties in the NFL. So he is in very elite company, and you hope that the step between the top 2 safeties in the NFL with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph down to Avonte Maddox isn't a huge drop-off. God forbid something happens to either one of those 2 guys. Kirby Joseph shown a resilience and able to be healthy the majority of his career. That's why we inked him to such a big contract extension. Brian Branch, not so much the injuries that I get worried about. It's his ability to not get ejected from games. Big winner, Aiden Hutchinson. We all I got the very happy in pants when I seen Aiden Hutchinson out in his pajamas at pajama practice running. Obviously, this was huge simply because he was there. Hutchinson broke his leg in week 6 of the 2024 season, and it took a long time to get over that. He was on the field and looked like a guy who was ready to get back at it. It's hard to judge linemen at pajama practices since they're not really going live, but athletically, he looked good. Big losers, the big losers from pajama practices. And that is the competition for our QB2. Who's going to back up? Jared Goff. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Hendon Hooker, our 3rd-round pick a few years back out of Tennessee, who should have been a Heisman candidate had he not blown out his knee? Could have been a 1st-round pick quarterback and probably would have flamed out terribly had he had that much pressure put on him. Or is it going to be our free agent acquisition, Kyle Allen? Well, looks like both of them are kind of dog shit, and I'm pushing for Bryce Perkins to get signed by the Detroit Lions. That's right, Bryce Perkins. The rap on Hooker was the same rap on Hooker last summer. Missing deep throws, holding onto the ball too long, or getting rid of it too fast. Let's see if he's able to correct things this summer. Allen didn't look great either. He also had trouble with the long ball. There were some other misfires as well. And that deep ball is going to be very, very important to the Detroit Lions this year. John Morton, we are going to just keep beating that horse. John Morton loves to throw the ball downfield. He was second in the NFL with throws over 20 yards as the passing game coordinator for the Denver Broncos with a 52-year-old rookie, Bo Nix. So I would expect Jared Goff, who has two of the best running backs in the NFL, the best running game in the NFL, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, regardless of Frank Ragnow's retirement, and Jared Goff, who is one of the better play-action passing quarterbacks with a explosive Jameson Williams on the outside. We do need to go deep. And if our backups can't throw the deep ball, then what goddamn good are ya? Health. Health is a big loser. Per Dan Campbell, the following players were out or limited during pajama practices. Defensive line, Miles Adams, Broderick Martin, Aleem McNeil. Well, we knew that. Levi Onwuzurike, no surprise there. Josh Paschal, DJ Reader, Tyleik Williams, Mekhi Wingu, Derek Barnes, Action Jack Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez, Terrion Arnold, Brian Branch, Khalil Dorsey, Gavin Holmes, Special Assistant to President, CEO, Chairperson Keith Spielman, O-line, Miles. The following players. So Chris Spielman is a player, apparently. A former player, but... Okay, Miles Frazier, tight end Kenny Yaboa, Amon-Ra, who just had minor knee surgery, Isaac Tesla, running back David Demo Montgomery, Sione Vaki, former Lions running back Barry Sanders, and former Lions wide receiver Calvin Johnson. Okay, well, good to know. It's good to know that Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders were out or limited at pajama practices. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? Down in the chat, Brent says it's going to be Hooker time soon. I hope he shows some improvement. I like Hendon Hooker. I'd like him to be that guy. I just, the proof is in the pudding, and you gotta figure it out. This time period between pajama practices and training camp, dude, you've got to figure it out. You've got to shit or get off the pot, Hendon Hooker, because Bryce Perkins is coming for you, baby. Let's go. QB depth sucks, though. Sam Armstrong, you are not wrong about that, dude. You are not wrong that the QB depth for our team is shitty. And, I hate to think of a world where Jared Goff misses any time. Jared Goff is the linchpin. He's the thing that makes our offense go. He's going to be one of the most important players for our organization this year. Jared Goff has to step up. And if something happens to Jared Goff and we have to rely on these other two douche nozzles, we are F-U-C-T, fucked. That's right. Action Jack, the next Spielman. I'll go one better than that, dude. I'm telling you, Sam, Action Jack is going to be the next Brian Urlacher, bro. Action Jack Campbell's about to explode. We know that St. Brown underwent knee surgery after the season, but he stated that it was not a major procedure and that he could be ready for training camp. David Wilson. So this is a really shitty story here. He felt bad for the guy. He signed with the Lions on Monday and then suffered an injury and was waived a few days later. We don't know what Wilson could have been able to do in Detroit, but he never really got the chance to show it. And then the Lions fans are not losers, but they're probably sad about pajama practices because Frank Ragnow retired. One of the best players in the NFL is no longer with the Lions, and now there are questions about how the Lions are going to do at center going forward. We'll have an answer before you know it. I think we all already know the answer, and that is going to be either Glasgow or Tater, and whichever one isn't at the center spot is going to be playing at the starter at the guard spot. At least that's what I would expect. So a little bit of winners and losers. Again, Jameson Williams looked outstanding in the clips we've seen. It was amazing to see Hutch out there running hard, running full speed. I like the Enos Rakestraw progression. It bodes well because it gives us more options in the future at a lesser cost to the cap, allowing us more flexibility in re-signing the guys that we need to go out and re-sign. Captain Jack is going to be our stud in the middle for years. Brent DeWitt, dude. And the thing is people weren't high on Jack Campbell. If you remember Braylon Edwards kind of went a little viral for saying that Jack Campbell was going to be a bust. He wasn't going to work out in the NFL because he was too long, couldn't move fast enough. And then the Lions drafted him in the first round. He's been anything but a bust. If anything, he's been one of the better linebacker products to come out of the NFL and succeed for Detroit, let alone for any organization. I very much like Action Jack Campbell and the things that he does on the field and the way he carries himself off the field. That whole, you're a professional, act like you've been there before. All right, boys, we are halfway through the show, making good time. And we're going to go ahead and walk on over to DetroitLions.com to read our boy Tim 20 man. If you guys haven't already, would you kindly walk on over and subscribe to the channel if you're new here? Ring that notification bell so you can have, hey, good morning, Mr. Detroit City. Let's go, brother. Figured you was busy, my guy. You just missed me glazing JMO a little bit, and I knew you were busy because you weren't here to keep me from getting too high on JMO. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Ring that notification bell so you never miss out on any future content. Like the video and share this around with all your friends. It helps the channel out tremendously, and I really appreciate you tuning in and telling a friend. We do have an active poll going. Should Detroit troll Green Bay and sign Jaire Alexander? We're up to 8 votes. 50% of you say yes, you gotta pay the troll toll if you want to get into this boy's soul. No, we have more pressing needs coming in with 38% of the vote. And 12% of you say Sheila is a low-key fox. 11% of you say Sheila is a low-key fox. 56% of you now say, yes, you got to pay the troll toll. We got 9 votes going in. Troll toll, baby. You know, Mr. Trey City, I was kind of thinking you were going to be on the side. And I'm 50-50 as far as signing Jaire Alexander. I like the troll move. You know, just sign him just to troll the Packers. Fuck the Packers, dude. Can't stand them. Just troll the shit out of them by signing Jaire. So down here at Lions.com, Tim 20 5 takeaways from pajama practices. The Detroit Lions completed the offseason portion of their schedule this week with the conclusion of their pajama practices. The next time we'll see the players on the field again is for the start of training camp in July. It was a shortened off-season training program with only 6 OTA practices and no mandatory minicamp. But the team still got some work in as they head into their summer break before camp starts. Teams are limited in what they can do in OTAs with some of the rules on contact and intensity, but it was an important time of year for head coach Dan Campbell and his team. They welcomed in 2 coordinators and a bunch of other changes among the coaching staff, all while trying to acclimate the rookies into the NFL so they can hit the ground running when training camp begins. Here are Tim 20 5 takeaways coming out of pajama practices. Number 1, the defense is ahead of the offense. That kind of makes sense. There wasn't too much changeover with our defense. In reality, we lost 1 player and brought in a replacement of better replacement who should be able to pick up the system well. And by keeping our defensive coordinator promoting from within, how much of the scheme is going to change, how much of the verbiage is going to change, how much of what Calvin Shepard is going to do now was what the players are expecting. You know, there shouldn't be too much of a learning curve as there is with our new offensive coordinator, although, yes, familiar with the system. John Morton will have a different take on things than small PP Benedict Arnold Johnson, the trader in the Windy City. So there will be a bit of a learning curve there. Also, there's a big learning curve with the center position, Frank Ragnow retiring, and you got guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown not participating because of knee surgery. So there's going to be some learning, some tweaking, some adjusting. But you do like to see that our defense is being that unit. You know, if it has to be where our first couple 2 weeks there, our defense has to carry the team while our offense irons out some of the kinks, not necessarily something you want to see, but if that's something that we have to do and our defense can do that, what a luxury we have. It was a comment Campbell made ahead of Thursday's final open practice that prompted me to really watch the aspect of the last practice. He's right. The defense had fewer mistakes and overall ran much smoother than the offense. It's nothing fans should be worried about with this offense. It takes time with a new offensive coordinator and new pieces up front along the offensive line. God, it's like exactly what I said. They have too many skill weapons led by an experienced quarterback to not be one of the better units in the league. Defensive coordinator Calvin Shepard has been in the building for the last 4 years and has 10 returning starters on defense. It's literally, I didn't read this article before. I swear I didn't read this article beforehand. It's more of a compliment to Shepard and how smooth his transition has been into the DC role. Quote, it was really just to get an introduction on what we're doing. Probably more up to speed defensively. It's just about everybody getting on the same page with how defensive coordinator Calvin Shepard wants to do things. We're cooking pretty good right now. I like where we're at. Offensively, same thing there. It's about what offensive coordinator John Morton really wants. We've tweaked a few things here and there, how he sees it, how he wants things to run, how he wants to isolate certain players. A lot of focal points were on Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, among others. Then getting the offense in. I thought we really did that. I thought we really honed in their versatility and all things they can do. That's a quote from Dan Campbell. Down in the chat, okay, Mr. Detroit City wants Mr. Asante Samuel Jr. personally, but Brad won't know. He won't go. Oh, gotcha. I don't think Asante Samuel Jr.'s head fits what we're trying to do. Brent DeWitt says, Cheesehead fans were saying this weekend that they were 100% sure that they were signing Alexander. Well, that just goes to show you that the Cheeseheads don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I expect more linebacker blitzes from Shep Stephens. So this is what I expect out of our linebacker blitzes. You know, Derek Barnes actually has a pretty good first step as far as a blitzing linebacker is concerned. And I'm expecting Derek Barnes to get 6 sacks this year because we are going to be sending the house because we have better corners that can hold up in coverage. You know what I'm saying? I hope Benedict gets his ass embarrassed. I hate the Bears. Sam Armstrong, I do too. And it's funny watching him trying to do, basically, he's trying so hard. Benedict Arnold Johnson is, oh my God, I know exactly. Oh my God, I don't know why I didn't think of this. I know exactly who Benedict Arnold Johnson is. He's Matt Patricia. Oh my God, Benedict Arnold Johnson is the next Matt Patricia because he's trying to do what Dan Campbell did, just like Matt Patricia tried to do what Bill Belichick did, and in an organization that it's not going to work because he doesn't have the magic. He doesn't have the magic like Dan Campbell. Oh my God, I just figured it out. Benedict Arnold Johnson is the next Matt Patricia. Ha! Yes, you fucking turd. People are saying Morton sucks. Well, the proof will be in the pudding, and we got to see what John Morton does. Ditto, Bend Over Johnson was about to take 2 beatdowns. Hell yeah, dude. Bend Over Johnson. I like that. Jared Goff has great size. Hey, morning, Brendan Dillinger. Good to see you back, dude. Yeah, that's actually, Jared Goff has great size. That's what Sean McVay's wife was saying, is that Jared Goff really, really packing some heat, dude. Yeah. Great example. Thanks, Brent. It just clicked, dude. It just clicked that Benedict Arnold, small PP Benedict Arnold Johnson, Bend Over Johnson, the trader in the Windy City. He's the next Matt Patricia. Oh my God, he's the next Matt Patricia. Wouldn't it be funny if Ben Johnson rolled into or like during the Bears break, he put on like 60 pounds and he rolled in and he's like, my knee hurts. He's on a fucking 4-wheeler riding around. He's got just a big fat blob, starts sticking a pencil in his hat like the asshole Matt Patricia was. Oh my God. Yes, dude. I can't wait to see the Bears just shit all over the place because they're trying to be us and they'll never be us. Ah! Ben Johnson is a dweeb. Ben Johnson's a human dildo, dude. He's a fucking douche nozzle. Number 2, interior O-line competition could be fun to watch. The 3 names logging the most snaps at center and the 2 guard spots with the first team offense were Graham Glasgow, Christian Mahogany, and rookie Tater Ratledge, the Motor City Mullet. Mahogany was mostly at left guard, Ratledge at center, and Glasgow at right guard. So what we're seeing here, at least on paper, is Tater's going to get the crack at it. And we know that Glasgow plays better, just like everybody else in the world. Hell, my fucking aunt could play better than most players if they played next to Penei Sewell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be a Pro Bowl guard if I played next to Penei Sewell. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to put, right now, Glasgow back over at the right guard next to Penei. Let Penei really pick up the slack from Glasgow. And Mahogany going to get the crack at left guard, ascending to a better position, putting more faith in Mahogany. And then with Ratledge getting the majority of the snaps at center. That's what I like to see. Ratledge and Glasgow seem to have the edge at center, with Ratledge taking most snaps there during pajama practices. Others trying to earn roles inside will be rookie 5th-round pick Miles Frazier, recently signed veteran Tristan Colon, veteran Kyoto Awashika, second-year center Kingsley Eguakun, and others. We're going to have options, Campbell said. That's why we're excited about training camp. We're going to find this out. We're going to let these guys go at it. That's right. Go earn your job. Unless Awasika really steps up, him and Agu Khan are going to be pretty. Actually, all three of these guys. Outside, Miles Frazier, I think, has a better chance of making the roster than Colin, Awasika, or Kingsley Agu Khan, personally. Secondary has a chance to be really good. I like how this Lions secondary is shaking out. It's a veteran group with a ton of playmaking potential if they can stay healthy. Let's start with where safety Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch are arguably the best duo in the league. They had 13 interceptions and defended 28 passes between them last year. And with a decimated front four that played most of the season without Aiden Hutchinson and finished 23rd in sacks. Imagine what a little more sustained pressure could mean for the secondary. Joseph and Branch are two of the best ball-hawking and playmaking defenders in the league. Yeah, I mean, who'd have thought Kirby Joseph, when you watched him play, when we drafted him, talk about a winger, you know, a collegiate wide receiver, played 1 year at safety from Illinois. Brad Holmes did what Brad Holmes did, went and took a flyer on a guy, and ever since he started in Detroit, set foot on Ford Field, Kirby Joseph has just been one of the most dynamic safeties in the NFL. Hell, he's led the NFL in interceptions since he came into the league. He is on pace to have an Ed Reed type career. And the shit thing about Kirby Joseph being in Detroit is because he's so fucking good, he overshadows Brian Branch, who is equally as good. He's not quite the cover guy you'll want, not the sticky hands, but the hammer in the secondary. Oh my God, he broke Alex Anzalone's arm. And it's such awesome secondary to safety play between Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. I love watching those two guys play. Veteran Amik Robertson locked down the nickel cornerback spot last year and played really good inside. He even showed the ability to move outside and play at an elite level there. Go back and watch what he did to Minnesota's Justin Jefferson Week 18 last year. He's savvy, versatile, and isn't afraid to mix it up. DJ Reed is a proven man cover corner and seems like a great fit in Detroit. He had a really nice spring. Second-year cornerback Terrion Arnold is the young buck in the group, but he still came on strong in the second half of last season. Opposing passers had a 55.6% completion percentage throwing his way with 4 touchdowns allowed. That's pretty good. He's expected to take a big leap in year 2. Enos Rakestraw Jr., Avante Maddox, and Rock Ya-Sin offer quality depth and competition. This is a group, in my opinion, that has a chance to be Detroit's most improved unit in 2025 and one of the league's better secondaries, as long as they can stay healthy. Number 4, Williams poised for a huge season. Let's keep glazing Jamo. We all know how good Jamo is at the deep threat. He averaged 17.3 yards per reception last season, second most in the NFL, and had 5 receptions of 50-plus yards. We can count on one hand the players in the league as fast as Williams. We saw one of those deep connections in pajama practices, but what impressed me more was Williams' playmaking in the short and intermediate parts of the field. His ability to put his foot in the ground and create space on a comeback. That's what I'm saying, dude. He plants his foot and the guy just sticks his foot in the ground now and just turns. It's very impressive. His ability to navigate the middle of the field on short crossers to create space. Heading into his 4th season, Williams looks to be the whole package at wide receiver, and that could have huge implications for the Lions' offense. I'm going to walk on over to the chat. When Dan let Ben go, he had some dumb play calls. That's true. When Dan wasn't there to wrangle in Ben Johnson, Ben Johnson got a little too big for his britches and tried to get a little too cutesy with it and ended up shooting himself right in the dick. Barrett Johnson equals... Oh, Patasha is smartest man in the room until he's in charge of the room. Yes, Brent DeWitt, yes. Yes, Benedict Arnold Johnson and butt-face Fat Trisha, they are the exact same. They think they're the smartest guy in the room. And then once they have the room, they shit their pants. PFF was hating on Kirby with the safety ranking Sam Armstrong. Yeah, dude, well, PFF, I do cite them sometimes, and they do have good statistics, but they're dumb. They're dumb. When it comes to Kirby Joseph, the proof is in the pudding, motherfucker. He is on pace to be the next Ed Reed. The fifth thing that was to take away from the pajama practices, the Lions could be a better football team in 2025 than they were in 2024 and not win as many games. That's just the reality of having the second hardest schedule in football this season based on opponent win percentage. It's a gauntlet with road games. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Kansas City, Washington, Cincinnati, and the Rams, in addition to 2 games apiece with Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago. That could be much improved in 2025. Minnesota, I don't know, man. I'm not so. I think they're going to take a big step back. Green Bay, nope. Green Bay can go fuck themselves, and Chicago is not going to win a game this season. All the players I talked to over the past couple weeks love it, especially the 5 prime time games and the 11 nationally televised games. The schedule is what it is. The players and coaches really seem to embracing it and using it as a way to get themselves better prepared for playoff football, where they've made a playoff exit in the NFC Championship and divisional rounds the last 2 seasons. Quote, I'm not worried about the schedule. I think it's perfect. I think it lines up perfect. I think it's going to be what's best for us and with where we're going into in 2025. My 5th year here, the core of this team's 5th year, I really think it's exactly what we're going to need. The timing is perfect. I mean, to me, by the end of the year, we ought to be just scarred up, We should be scarred up and ready to go, hardened for battle and ready for the playoffs, says Dan Campbell about our schedule. And, Dan Campbell is that guy to just embrace the suck. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, all right, well, we got the second toughest schedule in the NFL. Well, time to put our boots on and go to work, fellas. You know what I'm saying? Like, aren't you scared? No, motherfucker. They're a team just like us, and they ain't nearly as good or as physical as us. Yeah, some of these games might be a bit of a fucking heavyweight bout. I'm looking at, I actually think Kansas City's going to kind of fall off this year. I'm looking at Philly and Baltimore. Washington could be a tough one. And then, obviously, there's always the narrative around the Rams and Jared Goff and how he banged Sean McVay's wife and Matt Stafford and his big, goofy white teeth. But I'm not too worried about that per se, though we do generally have some pretty good matchups against the Rams. But, 17-0. I've already called for us to go 17-0, so no L's. No L's. Down in the chat, the Patriot Way didn't work in Detroit, and the Motor City Way isn't going to work in Chicago either. Exactly, Brent DeWitt. Even though we are a league of parity, you have to do it your own way. You cannot just copy and paste. It isn't going to work. Brad Holmes looks for a certain mentality in the player that fit what we do here in Detroit. As far as I can tell, nobody on the Chicago roster has that mentality. That's the toughest schedule I've seen in Lions history. Brutal road schedule. The NFL said road warriors, huh? We'll see this year. Well, Sam, I do agree with you. And the one thing that I think the NFL isn't afraid of, or at least kind of leans into, why we get these tough road matchups, is since the Dan Campbell era has taken over, and once we started really post Hard Knocks, and when we became America's real team, the true team, let's be honest, Detroit is America's team, right? We travel really, really well. The Lions, the one pride worldwide, shows up all over the NFL stadiums. It's always that. Sorry, I had to scratch myself there. Got fucking itch right in the middle of my back. Can't hardly reach it. You end up hearing chants, the Jared Goff chants at away stadiums. And then, whenever we get a primetime game, especially like Sundays where Scott Van Pelt does the after game show, there's a good 400 or 500 people there still, all decked out in Honolulu blue, just drowning out the commentary because they're just chanting Jared Goff, and all that stuff, dude. And it's awesome. So we travel really, really well. And I think the NFL is like, hey, if they're going to put butts in the seats, let's go ahead and keep scheduling them. You know what I'm saying? My only beef with the schedule is that we're playing 3 games in 11, 12 days twice. Oh, shit, you're right. Because of the Thanksgiving turnaround, and then we have a couple of prime time. Oh, shit, Brent, you're right. Damn, the NFL is kind of giving us, they put it on hard mode. We got to play on all Madden this year. This year, the Lions are playing on all Madden, but good thing we got the coaching staff, the roster, the physicality, and the mental fortitude to handle such things here in Detroit. Guys, we still got a few minutes here. We're going to quickly run down. We're going to walk out over to NBC Sports, Michigan Panthers, and Birmingham spring football dominance. We're going to briefly talk about your Michigan Panthers. The dynasty is over. The Birmingham Stallions, winners of 3 straight championships in the USFL and UFL, lost on Sunday in the first round of the UFL playoffs. The Michigan Panthers beat the Stallions in Birmingham 44-29. Michigan built a 21-6 lead capped by a 25-yard interception return for a touchdown by safety Kai Nakua, younger brother of Rams receiver Puka Nakua. The Stallions narrowed the score to 21-17 before Michigan pushed it to 34-17. Birmingham then tightened things up again, making it 34-29. The Panthers scored the final 10 points to hold on for a win and a berth in next weekend's UFL championship. Michigan quarterback Bryce Perkins, who missed the final 3 games of the regular season with an ankle injury, returned to complete 20 of 25 passes for 238 yards and a touchdown. He added 34 rushing yards and another touchdown, which is impressive because he wasn't at full health. His ankle wasn't completely ready to go. And Bryce Perkins has been, even though Jordan Ta'amu is probably going to win UFL MVP, Bryce Perkins has probably been the most dynamic player to watch in the league, the most electric. He's the UFL Michael Vick right now. You know what I'm saying? The Panthers were a rare bright spot in the second season of the UFL with a 30.4% increase in home attendance. Wow, that's awesome. The Panthers were the first champions of the original USFL back in 1983. So, hey, good to see the Panthers up 30% in attendance from last year. And that's the thing about Michigan fans, dude. People here in the state of Michigan, if you put a good product out there for sports, we're going to turn out. If you put out a mediocre product there for sports, we're going to turn out. We love our teams. And how awesome would it be if the Panthers win the UFL championship and then the Lions go on to win the NFL Super Bowl? Oh, that'd be so awesome. That'd be so awesome. We are the best travelers. We have never seen anything like it. Sam Armstrong, you are correct, dude. The Lions travel so well. And frankly, I love to see it because it shows that there were a lot of us that just, had to suffer for many, many years. Keep it to ourselves in other states, in other teams, territories and whatnot. So it is good to see. Let's walk on over here, do this, do that. We are going to go ahead and wrap today's show up. We got 11 votes down on the poll. Should the Detroit Lions troll Green Bay and sign Jaire Alexander? 64% of you said yes, you got to pay the troll toll. 27% of you said no, we have more pressing needs. And 9% of you said Sheila is a low-key fox. So another good turnout on the poll. We're going to go ahead and close that poll for the day. And just like everything else, we're going to start to wrap it on up. Today, guys, we had a good lengthy discussion about Jaire Alexander and the Green Bay Packers releasing him this morning. Maybe the Lions make a move for him, but he will be landing somewhere. He's too talented not to sign with the team before the start of training camp. We then went over to AtoZ Sports, talked about 4 winners and 5 losers from Detroit Lions pajama practices, who grew and who didn't practice at all. We would like to focus on one thing here, health. The following players were either out or limited during OTAs, and it's good to see that Chris Spielman was out or limited at OTAs, and Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson were both out or limited at OTAs. Those guys are very, 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 very veteran players who probably need a little bit of more time to rest. So I'm glad to see Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, and Chris Spielman all having time away to skip pajama practices. We walked over to DetroitLions.com, reading Tim 2021 Man, who had 5 takeaways from pajama practices. Some good things to look at. Defense being ahead of the offense, the interior offensive line competition, where we have seen Tater Ratledge, the Motor City Mullet, start to pull away with the starting center nod. Secondary and what it has a chance to be really good at, especially when you look at how well our safeties play and the addition of DJ Reed. JMO poised for a huge season. John Morton seems to be very, very high on Jameson Williams, and now everything looks like he's taken that step, at least in pajama practices. No longer just that downfield threat, but able to maneuver, weave his way through the offense on short and intermediate routes. And then finally, we wrapped up with a brief story about how the Michigan Panthers finally put an end to the Birmingham Stallion dynasty. And how awesome that is. So, boys, it is now 10:55 a.m. We're probably going to put a cap on today's show, wrap it up a little bit earlier as it is Monday morning. And you should be at work. You should be working. Why are you listening to the Hat and Beard Show? I'm just kidding. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Thanks for sharing this around. Thanks for engaging in the chat. We will be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here at youtube.com/The Hat and Beard Show. 9 a.m. Central for you cowboys down in Oklahoma. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Appreciate each and every one of you. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Until next time, bunga bunga. Frig off.